So welcome to a little bit of a bonus episode for this week. So because we've had a lot of time where we're all at home, I thought I'd do a little bit of an extra video and show you what's all in my knitting bags. So on the latest podcast I showed my Harry Potter transportation scarf and the Nature's Walk blanket, but I'm going to show you not those but all the other projects that I've got in my bags. In my craft room hidden away, and it might make me get them out and finish them off. So first of all, what have I got? I have this lovely bag by Eldenwood Craft, and let me just see what's in it first. It's my socks that I was knitting. So these are knitted in Katia yarn, which is basically a little box where you get two balls like this, and so the socks match. So I've managed to finish one, but I haven't started on the second one yet, so I need to get that one finished. So I'm not as keen on this yarn because it is quite splitty, but it does give quite a pretty effect. So that's the sock that I finished off before. You can see actually that I basically knitted a sock tube, and just before I got to the end of the ball I did a toe decreases, and then I went back and used the next colour to add the heel there. So that's how that looks. Project number one. Back in the bag. So I do only have two sock projects, which isn't too bad. That's what I say anyway. So next is in my sheep bag. This is one of my handmade bags, and this is a smaller size, which I don't actually do at the moment, but I hope to in the future. So these are the socks that I'd started out of a sock tube, and these are the, I finished one pair and then I got two more socks to make out of it, and I put the toe and the cuff on one, and then I put the cuff and I was working through the toe on the other. So I stopped sort of midway through a row because I'd run out of that colour yarn, so I was hoping to get round to dyeing some yarn to try and match in with that, so then I could finish that toe off, which I'm basically halfway through, which is ridiculous, and put those heels in. So that is so close to finishing. I've got another set of needles here flying around. Goodness knows where those are coming from. And the yarn was hand dyed for me by my lovely friend Lorraine. So, and I knitted these at Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year, well the tube anyway, and then I've been splitting them. I did them at the Suffolk Socks knitting retreat, but I just need to finish those off. So that's so close to finishing, that's just ridiculous. I just need to get the time to make sure that I dye some yarn up that'll match, but I'm not very good at matching specific colours sometimes, so it might not match exactly, but oh well, I'll try my best. So that's all the socks that I'd got in my bags, but I do have a shawl. So in my beautiful blue rabbit bag that I think it was last year I brought these out. I love this fabric, so I had to keep one myself. I am knitting a shawl, and it is the LLawenydd shawl by Ysolda Teague that I started at. I actually bought the kit, the pattern and the yarn from Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year, and it's a beautiful yarn. Isn't that a gorgeous colour? Absolutely love it. And it is Solje, so that's the name of the yarn, but I bought 3 skeins I think last year, and I'm working, I think I've used quite a bit of the first ball, and this is how I'd got on so far. And I'd stopped knitting on this because I'd made a mistake and I just couldn't face ripping it out. But there's some really lovely cables on it, so I really need to pick it up again. I just need to make the time really to do that. But that colour, gorgeous. But I think I'd forgotten to do some decreases so that the row was too long. But that will be lovely when it's finished. Must pick that up again. I actually have taken the needles off this and not put stoppers on them, so I probably should do. Obviously I needed the needles for something else. That's probably partially why I haven't finished that as well. So that's project number 3 in the knitting bags. Project number 4, this has been on the needles a long time, and it's in a bag that I sort of ice dyed the fabric. I don't know if there's a picture. It's called the Waterlily cardigan. I might have to put a picture on the screen of what it's, not a cardigan, Waterlily top. Yeah, I'll have to put a picture on the screen because there wasn't a photo in the printout that I did. I think I got it out of the Pom Pom magazine, and I've just printed out the pages that I needed. And it's out of some gorgeously soft yarn. So the yarn is a beautiful tealy grey colour, and it's a mixture of silk and yak, as I remember, but it's from Ginger Twist Studios in Edinburgh, that I picked up quite a few years ago now, and I started it, and then I got to the point where I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with the lace on the back. So this is the front panel. I've done all the lace on the front. How have I stopped knitting on this? So this is how the lace looks, and then I've done all the body down there. I've got my needles are all on the little panda stoppers on the end because I've obviously nicked those needles for something else as well. And then I started on the back, and then I've got to the lace bit, and I think I remember that there was some issues that a few people had with the neckline being quite wide at the back, so I then stopped because I wasn't sure what to do. I couldn't make a decision, and then I forgot to pick it up again. That's awful, isn't it? Look how creased it is from being in the bag for so long. I must try this on. Do you know, it feels really lovely and drapey though, the fabric. But it is such a shame that I've just left it in the bag for so long. Has anybody else got any WIPs that have been in the bag for so long? I think I put on my Ravelry page how long I'd got these on the needles, or got this on the needles for. So I'll have to look that up and put it on the screen. Put it on the screen and actually confess to how long I've had something on the needles for. So that's that one. This is a bit terrible, isn't it, with all these unfinished projects that I've had on the needles forever. What else have I got? I've made myself a list here. I've also got my Cozy Memories blanket, but to be honest, this is a very long-term project. So I'm not too worried about having it on the needles for such a long time. But oh, it's lovely. I've actually missed knitting on this one, so it's just a patchwork of all the lovely yarns I've enjoyed using, and the I've tried to do it so that there's a sort of checkerboard effect with a spread of the dark and light squares. And I did really enjoy knitting on this, but I haven't knitted on it for a while. But I have been doing some other sort of scrappy projects, so I have been sort of feeding that part of my need for scrappy knitting. So I have got a tutorial on YouTube, which I'll put a link to up here. That'll show you how I do my Cozy Memories blanket squares. And there are several tutorials of how to join them together and how to do the placement of the squares to make different patterns, if you're interested in those as well. So that's my sort of, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, this is my 5th work in progress thing that I've had on on hold for a bit. Oh dear. So I think the only thing now is my crochet blanket that is something that I've been sort of actually working on rather than ripping it out and then needing to start again. So I shall show you my crochet blanket that I've been working on, and I have actually been showing this on the podcast in the last couple of weeks. So this is the corner to corner crochet blanket pattern, and I'm following a tutorial on YouTube by Bella Coco, and I'll leave a link up in the corner if you want to find that particular tutorial. Really nice clear instructions, and I'm using all my little scrappy bits. So again, this is a very long-term project. I'm not too worried that I had it on the hook for so long, but it's just a bit of fun really. And I'm holding double 2 yarns. I've got a plain undyed yarn, and then I've got a magic knot ball with all my little tiny scraps in, so it uses every little bit up and doesn't waste it. I hate wasting yarn. So that's coming along slowly but surely. I forgot to say actually, I'm keeping this one at the moment in my Caroline Love to Sew little bag, but it's starting to get a bit big for it now, so I'll have to switch it up to a bigger one. And I was keeping my Cozy Memories blanket in one of these IKEA baskets because it's a bit big for some of my smaller bags, but actually because I can see it in the basket, it's much nicer. I've got 3 projects now that I need to either rip out, or I have ripped out, and I'm thinking I should probably cast them on again. So the first of which is my Gwanwyn sweater that I did make a start on, and I keep saying on the podcast, oh yes, I will undo it and start again, just because I made a mistake with my calculation, in that I'm making the sweater into a cardigan version, and I needed to add a sort of band at the front here so that I could steek it afterwards, so cut it open once I've stabilised it, and I still haven't undone it yet. So once I've sort of got back on track with that, that'll be lovely. I do have a picture of this one, although it is black and white. I will put a colour version up there as well, but it's a beautiful lacy yoked sweater, but I thought I'm going to make it into a cardigan because I think that's what I'll wear a little bit more. And I have been I dyed up some yarn for myself in my purple haze colourway, which is this one. The cake's starting to look a bit messy now because I've been chucking it around. This bag's been chucked around my craft room a little bit lately, which is very naughty. And I'm keeping this in a Christmas bag. I've got my Christmas jumper bag, just because jumpers, they're relevant throughout the year, I think, even though they're Christmas ones. But this is my large drawstring sort of version that I sell in my shop. But I couldn't resist keeping one of these for myself because a jumper bag with a jumper in it, it's just perfect. Oh dear. So that's what I need to rip out, and I also need to rip out a pair of mittens that's in here. So this bag is actually one of the first bags I made, and I've got a tassel on it here that I bought at a craft fair from one of my friends, Sally, who does a lot of sort of weaving and tassel making herself, and I think that goes perfect with this bag. And this is the Way Through the Woods pattern of mittens, and I did pull the needles out of this because I wasn't happy with the tension and I never actually pulled it out completely, so I'm going to start those again. But I do really like this pattern, but I think that I was using 2.5mm needles, and I do my colour work quite tight, and it was too dense. So I'm going to rip that out again. I will obviously put a picture on the screen so you can see what it's supposed to look like, but I'm using 2 lovely yarns that I got from Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and they're the Blacker Breeds Jacob 4-ply in the colourways dark blue clay and pale green clay, and I just thought that they went really nice together. So I will go back to this project hopefully at some point. But now I'm sort of looking at these projects and thinking, right, really need to do that because I really like the finished project. It's just I need to sort of overcome a problem and go back to it rather than just leaving it and going and starting something else like I sometimes do, which is a bit naughty. So the last one is oh gosh, I made this absolutely years ago. So it's got some fabric that I picked up from my local fabric shop, and it's got some gorgeous little wildlife animals on it, mainly deer and little bunnies and things like that. And I did used to I started putting the handle on the back like that, but then I stopped doing the smaller bags, but maybe I should do some more again. So I've undone this. This is really useful, leaving it all messy, isn't it? Oh dear, Eleanor. And it's the Emiliana shawl, which looks like this, and I will pop a better picture on the screen as well. And I actually cast this on way longer than I'd done my Waterlily top. So goodness knows how long ago it was I caked this yarn up. I think actually it's a weird separate bit. I must have just cut it up of the bit that I just got annoyed with, obviously. Why that's still in there, I don't know. Obviously I was going to save it for something, but it is a beautifully soft yarn. Let's see if I can remember what the yarn is. It's the Juniper Moon Farm Harriet Fine, and it's baby alpaca blended with nylon for durability. and it's just said it's super fine weight yarn and a dye lot number, so there's not a real proper label, but that's what the label said. And I've got two colours, a pale grey and a darker grey, and actually, do you know, that would be really nice. I really need to cast this on again. I think I got a bit cross because there were some slip stitches and it was really difficult to see it in these yarns, so maybe I should just omit the slip stitches that I can't really see because there's lots of slip stitches across the whole shawl, and there are some slip stitches in parts that are sort of make it look like colour work, but the rest of them you couldn't really see, and I was finding it really hard to make sure that they were in the right place by reading my knitting. So I think what I'll do is I'll cast it on again and just don't do the slip stitches throughout, because it wasn't adding to the texture at all because of the way this yarn looks. So there we go. That is quite a lot of projects that I haven't touched for some time. So we've got these ones that I've unravelled, and then I don't even think I can hold all these, and then there's these ones that are sort of working on and I should get on with really, and then one crochet and one knitted blanket. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed seeing inside all my knitting bags that I've naughtily left to one side and not finished the projects. It'll make you feel a little bit less guilty having lots of projects on the go, things you haven't worked on for ages. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video.